The beginning of this week's Parsha Emor talks about the Kohanim and the requirement to be holy. The Torah explains that due to who they are, there is a limitation to whom a Kohen may marry, and also a constraint to whom a Kohen may defile himself. When discussing each aspect of the Kohen's restrictions, God notes about the Kohen's holiness. However, when God sums things up, he says it is he who makes the Kohen holy. This sounds contradictory. Which one is it? Is it that the Kohen has an intrinsic holiness, or is it that it is God who makes the Kohen holy? These statements actually are not mutually exclusive, but help to describe in full about what is going on. We learned in last week's Parsha Kedoshim, that every person of Israel can and should aspire towards holiness. A Kohen is part of the nation just as anyone else is. As such, a Kohen is holy just as all of Israel is holy. In our Parsha, the Torah tells us that God declared that the Kohanim are designated for him. This designation expanded the notion of holiness for a Kohen, in essence saying that God infused the Kohen with extra holiness over and above a regular member of the nation. This designation, therefore, comes to be a declaration that a Kohen does have an intrinsic holiness. So, both statements are correct. A Kohen does have a certain extra intrinsic holiness about him, because it is God who adds an extra level of holiness to him. As an aside, looking at it in this way, we now have an answer to Korach's challenge to Moshe. Korach tried to claim that the whole nation is holy, so how could Moshe and Aaron place themselves above the nation? Meaning, Korach tried to claim that anyone could be a Moshe and Moshe and Aaron are no better than anyone else. We can answer Korach that while it is true that the whole nation is holy, but that does not mean that everyone is equal. There are those who are infused with an additional something, whether holiness or something else that separates them from the rest of Israel, and at times also elevates them in some way above the rest. So while all of Israel is holy, but people such as Moshe and Aaron have an additional level of holiness to help them accomplish their roles. It should also be noted that the extra holiness that the Kohen had wasn't meant to elevate himself over others, but to allow and enable the Kohen to properly serve God in Israel. The Kohanim needed that extra measure of holiness to help them in their service, in their mission and duties. Perhaps the lesson that we can take from this is, if God elevated a person and expanded their life mission to greater than the regular person, then God will also make that person holy. Meaning, God will bless that person with success. That does not mean that the person will be successful. It means that if the person keeps the idea that they are there to serve God and Israel and not themselves, then they will have a chance to properly actualize the potential that God put before them. Shabbat Shalom.